We're going to do a little role play.
Okay.
I'll be easy. I won't be that tough.
It's all right.
So Nate comes to my house for a listing appointment and he's talking to me about commissions. And my first thing out of my mouth is, Nate, I've been hearing a lot about this NAR lawsuit. I'm not giving any money to the buyer's agent because I was told I don't have to. And Nate's response will be,
Well, Frank, I can appreciate that you've hang on one second. It's recording everything we're saying. Let me get my phone turned off. So, Frank, I really appreciate the fact that you've been keeping up with everything and you've heard that there's a lot of big changes in the real estate market. But when it comes to selling real estate, really nothing's ever going to change, because when we look at the way that you price your property, we know we have a buyer and we know we have a seller. Correct? Do you agree with that fact? You're
yes,
trying to sell your property. We also know that 97% of all people that come to look at your property are going to be represented by a buyer's agent, because they want somebody to protect their interest, just like you want me to protect your interest. But here's the issue. There's a lot of misinformation in the market. The misinformation, the way the news has put it out, they say basically the seller could still list their house for the same price, but not pay, and that the buyers have to pay their own agents. Well, the misinformation that comes, most people think that means a buyer would have to take the money out of their pocket and pay their agent. But the reality of it is, almost everybody looking at your house, they can barely squeeze into your house anyway. They might have 10% down, they might have 3% down, they might have 20% down, but they don't have enough money to come out of pocket to pay for that representation. So basically what's going to happen is, no matter what way you decide to go, whether you want to offer compensation to the broker or whether we negotiate it, that fee is going to somehow need to be negotiated into the purchase price of your home. Now, what's going to happen is we're not allowed to advertise. We're not allowed to advertise a commission from you, the seller. But I really want to encourage you to think about cooperating with that buyer's agent, because when they call me to come and see your property, they're going to ask me a couple of questions. They're going to say, Nate, I see you've got a beautiful listing here. You've got the pool. It's exactly what my buyer is looking for. Are you cooperating? Is your seller going to cooperate with me representing my buyer? Now, Frank, do you want me to say no and then not bring your buyer? What do you want to happen if they ask me? What do you want me to say? I'm working for you. You're in charge. So if you don't want to pay that, to put that fee in there, how do you want that to work? What do you want to happen?
Nate, I want you to show my house as many times as you can. It's about exposure.
And Frank, I totally agree with you. So here's what I really encourage you to do. Instead of just having a mindset and to really know that that fee is not going to be, let's just price the house accordingly. My suggestion is you offer a 3% commission to that buyer's agent. Now that might be 2.5%, or we might have to negotiate that when the time comes. But while we're pricing the house now, let's just go ahead and do that, because if we cut off everybody who can't afford to pay that commission out of pocket, then we're cutting off almost all your sellers, and we might have somebody who's willing to pay more for the house if they're represented by an agent or represented. So I just really encourage you to do that. So I think that you should consider, when we price the property, pricing it with a number where we can pay 2.5% to 3% commission to that buyer's agent for representing their buyer property.
But Nate, we're talking about $25,000 to $30,000 I'm losing.
Well, if you really think about it, are you losing it? Now let's think about who truly pays the commission. You're selling a property for a certain number, but who's bringing in the money, Frank? Let me ask you, who is bringing in the money to buy your home? Is it you that are you buying your own home? You're not buying your own home. See, it's a different way of thinking. The buyer is actually paying their own commission when they buy your house. The buyer is paying both sides of the commission, if you really want to look at it, because we're going to list your house for $1 million, right? If we sell your house, who's bringing in that money to pay you? The buyer is bringing in the money. The buyer's bank is bringing in the money. So therefore, we want to take our number of what you consider your net to be, to do that. Now, it appears that you're paying the commission that you're paying on the other side, But when we look at who's bringing the money into the transaction, it's actually the buyer. So who's really paying the buyer? Really, the buyer's paying me, and the buyer's paying their buyer's agent as well. So it's just really about seeing it the right way. We're not going to be able to get the exact amount for your house without using someone. Okay. Now, if you're wanting me to represent you and just use my buyers due to insurance, due to cost, due to marketing, due to all these different things that I have to pay for, I'm not able just to go find you a buyer, bring it for half price. That's not going to work. We need to put it out there for everyone to see it. When everyone sees it, then we know we're not leaving money on the table. My job is to get you top dollar for your house. And I know if we cut out 90% of all the people out there, we're not going to get top dollar. And Frank, I really want you to get the most we can for your house.
Thank you, Nate. Damn, you're so smooth. And the only reason he's so smooth is because Nate does this day in, day out, day in, day out. If we get nervous about thinking about it, it's because we're not having those conversations. Elgin, you're up next. Well, Elgin, I've heard about this NAR lawsuit, and I ain't paying the buyer's agent jack. I need all that money. What are you going to do?
Now, I understand what you're saying, Frank, and obviously there's a lot of talk in the media right now that you hear that a 6% commission is dead, or don't pay this, or don't pay a buyer's agent, et cetera, et cetera. But here's the reality. The reality is, Frank, do you want the most money that you can get for your home?
Hell yes.
Of course you do. So let me ask you something, Frank. If you want the most money that you can get for your home, don't you want me to put you in a position to get you the most money possible?
Yes, but 30, 35 grand. Wow. That's a
no, I mean, I understand. And what a person is compensated for is for the value that they bring to the table. So let's take a look at that for a second. Let's suppose that as a buyer and a buyer's agent right now, the buyers really are looking at higher interest rates than they've looked at in a little bit of a while. In most cases, the buyers are putting down more money, or at least as much money as they have to put down towards your home. Now, if unfortunately between the buyer paying their own down payment, whatever that is, their own closing costs, which are approximately 2 to 3% of whatever the price is, and then they have to pay another 2.5%, 3% to a commission to their agent, that's going to cut out an awful lot of opportunities that you have to sell your home. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, think of it this way, Frank. If I'm a buyer and I know that I have to pay the agent's commission, and my agent tells me, hey, Mr. Seller over here that Elgin's representing, they're not going to pay us any, they're not going to pay me. So you're going to have to pay me for us to go look at this deal, right? Can you see how many buyers would say, let's skip that one. Let's go to this other guy's listing. Let's go to Nate's listing, because Nate, his clients are willing to compensate the buyer's agent. Can you see how there would be people that wouldn't look at your home if you're not willing to do that?
Yes, Elgin, but let me ask you this. I want you to list my home because I see your signs all over and you're really, really good. But if you got any buyers of your own, can you give me a little discount, Elgin?
Well, here's the deal, Frank, and I'll be very honest with you. I can statistically show you that myself tend to sell almost 30% of my own listings. The industry standard is between 8 and 10%. So even with me at a higher rate of selling my own listings 30% of the time, you're basically asking 70% of the market are not going to look at your properties. The truth of the matter is, realistically, I would be doing you a disservice by doing that. Now, I would make more money. We're all down for making more money, Frank. But the truth of the matter is, I am in the service-oriented business. And in a service-oriented business, I'm looking to get you, my customer, my client, the best opportunity to get the most amount of money in the least amount of time with the least amount of hassle. Now, I can work with myself really well, but I can tell you, Frank, in my heart, I know, honestly, you are not allowing yourself to have the best opportunity to sell your home.
Wow.
So good.
Man, I wish I was as smooth as Nate and Elgin. That's because they do it all the time. They do it all the time. Michael, you want to go with this?
Let's do it.
Okay. Michael, I want you to list my house, but I've been hearing all over the news media about this lawsuit. Now we don't have to pay the buyer's agent. So what are you going to do for me?
Well, Frank, that's awesome that you're up to date with the news, what's going on, and all the information that's coming out there. And as we know, with the news comes out, all the information that comes out isn't always, so to say, correct. But I'm going to have a couple questions for you, Frank. Now, you told me when you sell your house, you're going to be buying another house, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So when you buy this next house, right? And they have their house listed at, say, $1 million, right? And they tell you, we're not going to pay your buyer's agent. You have to pay your buyer's agent. Are you going to want to pay them $1 million? Or are you going to want to take the commission off of that price so that you can afford the house and pay me?
I didn't think about that.
So if you think about it that way, this is where it comes that really, right, the buyer brings the money in. And nothing's really changing with all this information except for the way that the commission is being marketed. So come July, when everything comes through, I'm no longer able to put in that the commission that we've agreed upon that's coming to my brokerage is going to be split to the other side. All that's going to be said is they're going to call me. They're going to ask me, hey, what are you doing with your cooperating broker? And then I can tell them we're cooperating this amount. But right now, even as so, if we have agreement, you're going to pay me 6%. I'm taking that commission and I'm splitting it there. You're not paying the broker. You're paying me. I'm taking that, or my brokerage, and we're taking that and we're splitting it to the other side. The whole reason I bring all this stuff up as well is because that very first point. It's kind of double dipping, wouldn't you think? If you say, I want the most money for my house, and I want you to pay the buyer's agreement, pay for the buyer's broker. So therefore, we're looking at an extra 30, 50, sometimes, like you said, $60,000 or $50,000 for the buyer to bring into your money, which can as well affect their affordability. So we're cutting off all those buyers that maybe they can come in at $1 million with some of that help, but now they can come in only at 950,000.
So Michael, if I'm going to be paying 25,000, 30,000, does that mean you're going to list my house for 30,000 above what the comps say?
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to list your house, Frank, right? So that we price in, just like right now, the house that we put the comps, those houses already have the commissions priced in, basically. And we're going to price your house accordingly so that we get the most amount of people in, not necessarily at the price of the comps, but we're going to price it so that you get the most views, because we don't want people to come in and negotiate you down. We want multiple offers, multiple people coming in and making offers, so they negotiate against each other and we can bring the price even above that.
Okay. So you heard from Nate, you heard from Elgin, and you heard from Michael. Does anybody on this call have any questions for these three guys?
Awesome job.
I got a comment.
I think all three are hired.
Well, I
But
have a
Frank,
comment.
are you willing to pay the commission now? The question is back to you. Are you willing to pay the commission now? Now that you have three great listing agents ready to get your business, are you willing to make it happen? Are you convinced?
It wasn't about me, Arya. It's about a little training session for all of you. So,
Absolutely. No, I get you. I know you do radio shows, so I just want to be the other commentator.
so one of the things I think that's very important is, I'm sorry, did somebody else have a hand up?
No,
Nate, did you want to say something?
I was just making a comment that
Yeah, go ahead.
it's really good no matter how many times, I mean, how many thousand presentations I've done with a seller. Elgin's done even more than that. Like, I mean, over the time, and then, with everybody's experience, I think it's really good to always hear what other people have to say, because I said some stuff, but if I didn't hear what Elgin said, and then I wanted to hear what Michael said, the point I picked up from Michael was, oh, Nate, don't forget to talk about what about when you go buy another house. See, I left that point completely out. So we have to, that's why this training is good. No matter how much experience, don't ever feel like you're too good to be trained, because now when I hear that come up, I'm not going to miss that. Cause I remember when Michael said, because I don't want to get just on my one train of thought, because what if somebody stumps me? I need to hear what Elgin, I never said what he said either. Well, they come in with 3% for their closing costs. They come in with their down payment. They come in. So it's always good to hear other people. So that was great with both of you guys. But Michael, that point about, hey, we're going to find you a house. Are you ready to pay me the 30 grand out of pocket or whatever? That's great. That's great.
Elgin, go ahead.
First of all, I think that was great, Nate. It's true. The listening to other people, because we always, if you're like doing this, you kind of always listen to yourself all the time. And then if you have success with it, you don't look at other things. But one thing that I really want to emphasize to everyone is that the only reason, honestly, that I talk about the NAR situation as much is because I'm talking to people like yourselves who are concerned about it. I would ask Nate and Michael. I mean, up to this point, I've had no one even ask me about it.
Nope, nobody.
Let alone challenge me about it. And I mean, I'm right now and more into production than I would like to be. So I'm out there a lot right now, and I'm not hearing. I'm not hearing at all. I'm hearing, and there are people that are calling me to list and calling me to talk about the market, and the commission or NAR situation never comes up. And I believe, at least in my case, and I would think in Michael and Nate's case for sure, is the reason why it's not coming up is because they are coming to us, or we've been reaching out to them so much in the types of lead generations that we're doing that they already see value in working with us. And if they already see value in working with you, then, I mean, you're going to get a few people that you're going to get some people that are going to come at you. But I mean, realistically, you get to run your business how you get to run it. So you get to say no to people. If you have someone that comes in and they're just absolutely butting heads and blah, 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 et cetera, you are only going to say yes to deal with that person if you ain't got nothing else going on.
Yep.
Right.
If you got something else going on, you're going to be like, dude, I am like so over you. I got somebody I can refer you to. Refer you to Frank. I mean, I got a great agent that he can deal with you better than I can. I mean, you're going to just, you'll move on. And there's been a couple of situations where I've moved on. Heck, I've had a couple of situations where people moved on from me. I mean, I didn't know it, but they did. So, the world keeps spinning. We keep talking to people. People keep coming in, and we keep that. I think the biggest, and I don't want to take over the talk, but I think the biggest thing that we have to keep right now is our mindsets. It's a challenging market. There's stuff coming. If you have the wrong mindset and you let stuff get in here, and we all do. I mean, I'm not gonna sit there and say I got this 100%, everything goes, crazy, a mindset and all that. Especially as long as I've been doing it. Sometimes I have more doubt than anybody. Like, I don't want to fool with this today. But if you want to build your business and you want to get to certain levels, certain goals, whatever it is, things that you want to achieve, I mean, heck, you might just need to eat. Whatever it is, you gotta have a strong warrior type of a mindset. You gotta be ready and willing to go out and get it, and not be out there getting got. All right, that's it.
No, that's good. I gotta say one more thing on that, and I don't want to hog up all the time either, but here's what I've noticed lately, and here's what I think that for you guys on this group, you need to see as a positive. So I don't know how many lists. I took a few listings last week. I took one this weekend. I got one after this, but I don't know, 3, I don't know, whatever. But what I've been finding is they want to hire the professional now because the real estate market's not easy. So when you, like yesterday, I went to take a listing. I was in Quartz Hill, 550,000. I went through the whole thing, never talked about commission one time, never did it. I filled out all the exclusions. I filled out all the inclusions. I filled out all the solar lease stuff. And then I turned it around and said, okay, just initial here. This is your name. This is here. This is, and I said, here's what I did. 6%. I just want to let you know, I don't charge any extra fees like everybody else. They go, what? I said, nope, only my commission. I don't charge any extra fees. So all you have to do is sign here. They didn't even question my commission. So I know as a listing agent, when I go in, when this thing happens on July 24th or whenever it's supposed to, I'm not changing anything. I'm going to go right in, and the people want the qualified people because the market is it contracted? That's not the right word, but the market has compressed. So they want the Elgin, they want the Frank, they want the person. You don't have to be a lot of years doing it, but you have to act like and sound like and have your scripts and dialogues like you've done this for 20 years. and you are the best, and you're going to do just what all this thing said. So training, and be a professional. That's what it meant. That's what it takes. But I've learned that attracting people, when you go in, it's about your production. They want to see, does this person know? They want to see your marketing. They want to see all your stuff on social media. When you show them all that, commissions, I don't have a commission issue. That's always 5 or 6. I don't have people knocking me down to 4%. I don't even like taking 5. I do sometimes if I have to. If they knock me down, they're knocking me down to 5. They're not knocking me down to 4. Anyway, that's my soapbox.
Okay, thank you, Nate. I talk to a lot of people, and what you're saying is exactly true. No one asked him about the NAR lawsuit, just us, because it affects us, just us personal. However, what I recommend is that you get really good at this with role play. And I know some of you are going, I hate role playing. I don't want to role play with somebody about this. I'm telling you, if you don't, you'll be in trouble. Last week, I was recommended to watch a video. Get this, an hour and 40-minute video. For me, an hour and 40 minutes is freaking eternity. Okay. I couldn't find enough forks to stick a needle in my eye. An hour 40 video. It was a Tom Ferry video, and he did the same thing we're doing right here about all these high producers and what they're doing. Some people have had 60 listings since the first of the year. Other people had 160 listings since the first of the year. I mean, these are ballers. These people are making it happen. And what they focused in, and the most common thing, is the price they're going to get for their seller. That's what they focus in on it. And it really takes away everything else with the commissions, the lawsuit. What is the price we're going to get? Now, I know some of you go on listing appointments, and there are people who are not very nice and will try to get you to do a 3% listing or a 2.5 or a 2. I get it. I've been there. Nate's been there, Elgin and Mike as well. You're going to have to deal with those kind of people. Give them to Elgin. Okay. He knows how to work with those people. Okay. That's a joke, Elgin.
Well, I will say this though, one thing, if I have a little bit of input on this, so I know that I'm going to come up against somebody calling me off Google, and they're going to say just what Elgin said. So there's a couple different ways that you can handle that. And I've tried to think about the way I'm going to handle it. If it's somebody who's really set, let's say it's $1 million property, and they say, you know what, I refuse. I am not paying. I want you to go. And I say, okay, here's what I charge here. I don't know that I'm going to walk away from every listing. Okay.
That's right.
But here's what I will do. I'll say, okay, Mr. Seller, Frank, why don't we do this? I truly believe that you're cutting out 70 to 80% of all of your views. But you know what? You're in charge and you're hiring me. So why don't we try it your way? We could always offer the commission then, and then I go ahead and I try to offer it later. I said, the only issue is your best buyers usually come within the first 10 days to 2 weeks. If I have 10 agents calling me to show the property and I'm not able to tell them I'm cooperating, how are they going to know you've decided to cooperate?
Right.
We can be sitting longer. And haven't you noticed in your neighborhood, when you see a house sit for 30 days, 60 days, don't you check on Zillow and all these sites? Yes, I do. Do you wonder what's wrong with the property when it sits 45 days? Like, why hasn't it sold? Is it overpriced? That's what we have. So I'm trying to protect you. That first 14 days is so important.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't see me not being able to get 95, 99% of the people just to go with the program, man. I don't see it.
So one of the things that they came out of this panel is that agents are going to fall into 3 categories. The first category is the people that are going to do buyer broker agreements right away. Then there's going to be people who start their buyer broker agreements on June 1st. Then there's going to be the third group that's going to start their buyer broker agreement on July 1st, and they're going to miss out because they haven't done the training to themselves. And that's why this is so important for you guys to be on this call so that you can hear other people's opinion, because some of us feel like we're on an island all by ourselves, doesn't it? It really does. And that's why we need the team to be here to tell you exactly how I feel and they feel. Anybody have any questions so far?
I do. Has anybody used the one pager that EXP just came out with? They uploaded a sky slope. It was announced at the original last week. It's for the buyer broker. I guess they collaborated it to one page.
I haven't used it yet, but I did download it and have looked at it and reviewed it. I believe that it really is specifically for, when everything comes out. I believe specifically, like if say somebody called me about my own listing or something. Even as a listing agent, I'm supposed to have a buyer's broker agreement or something in
That's
place.
right.
It's not as if they can call me and not have to fill out a form. So even if it's just to look at one property, you should have that. So there's going to be a requirement that you have something based upon what we know now. But you might as well get into the habit of doing that, because what it also does is it gives you an opportunity to then show your value from the buyer side to get them to exclusively sign a contract with you. I do believe that, because it's my own personal opinion, and I see Ari's going to probably come in with something a little bit more specific. But I believe that since everyone's going to be required to actually sign a buyer broker's agreement, where people like me who don't really, and it's just my personal opinion, is not quote unquote would be known as a buyer's agent. I'm not like looking for that a lot. That would make me list more buyers, because I did the biggest reason of, what do we always say? Buyers are liars, and with the whole thing we say. Well, now you got a buyer under contract for 60, 90 days. So all you got to do is go out and work. You can get a buyer signed. You get 5 or 6 buyers assigned for 60, 90 days. You get 5, 6 listings as well. All of a sudden, you have an opportunity to put together 10, 11, 12, 13 contracts with loyalty. And see, for me, after doing this for so long, loyalty is more important than some of the other things. Because if I know I got someone that's loyal to me, the way I'm made up is I want to be loyal to them. So I'm going to go out there, and I'm like I won't list a buyer if they have an unrealistic view, just like I won't list a seller if they have an unrealistic view. The key thing for me is always, and what will be from now, more than price, commissions, other stuff, as you make your own business decisions on what you're willing to work for, in my opinion, is motivation. So how long am I going to be married to this guy or this lady? How long am I going to be married to him? If this buyer is realistic about what they're looking to find, and I can get out there and dig it up, man, let's go. If you're a seller, and even if you maybe don't want to do things 100% the way I feel you should, but your motivation at the end of the day means you got to move in 30 days. Yeah, you know what? We can play ball a little bit different. So, and I don't know. I personally think that's great.
Can I ask one follow-up question? Can you guys give me your expertise on what it looks like with open houses, with people coming in, open houses with this whole buyer broker agreement? Does anybody have a future pace view of that?
I'm sorry. I called Debbie Penny, and I laid out that scenario, and she told me that open houses, I was told something different a long time ago. I was told that before a buyer can come into the house, you have to have a buyer broker agreement. That's what I was told. Well, that is wrong. That is wrong. Anybody can come into your open house. It's when they want to write a contract. This is per our broker, Debbie Penny, which thank God, because, if I get 30, 40, 50 people at my open house, it's going to take some time to do that. So she clarified that for me, which I was very thankful. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
But
Okay.
Frank, I have a question. I have a question, since you seem like you know a little, since you've talked to Debbie. If I am going to go show my buyer, let's say I'm handling one buyer right now. I'm only handling one, everything else listed.
Nate, you got a buyer?
I am. I have I got to do it. They said, Nate, I want you to help me out personally. I said, don't hand me all. Okay. So, but let's say I'm going to go show Elgin's listing. It's true that I have to have a buyer broker's agreement to get them in the door, right? Okay. So Carolyn, here's what I want you to think about. And here's where, as a team leader, I think that maybe some teams will shrink. But here's why I think the mindset is different. Right now, as real estate agents with no buyers, 97% of all real estate agents show buyers more than listings. Only 3% list more houses than buyers, okay? So only 3% of real estate agents are used to getting contracts signed. If I am able to go get somebody to sign a contract for 5 and 6%, why am I not going to be able to get an agent? Why everybody is so scared is because only 3% of the people are truly trained to deal with people and telling them they're going to have to pay them. But here's what the problem is. There are so many part-time real estate agents or people who do it as they hobbyist or think it's a job, is because their mindset, they think they're busy and they think they have clients, but they don't. Now it's changed because you're running around people getting abused. They're wasting your time. You're showing property. You're sending a property 8 o'clock at night. You're doing all this work with no commitment. Okay. So now when I look at my team, like when I'm teaching, I go, how many contracts do you have? None? Oh, you don't have any clients. But yes, Nate, I called on the phone and I sent my share and I did it. Nope, you don't have any clients. You got nothing. So I think what's going to really make the difference is loyalty. What Elgin just said was gold. You don't have a client unless you have a contract. Just like I don't have a listing unless I have a contract. But people's mindset is they're busy because they're running around doing free stuff in hopes that you don't fall in love with somebody else later and they can just write with anybody they want. So now the time is going to compress and you have 5 contracts. You have 5 people who committed to you. You got 5 contracts. So I think it's going to help. I don't think anybody should be running from this at all. You know, buyer's agents have been abused. 97% of real estate agents are used for entertainment. We want to go look at this house. We want to go look at that house. We want to go to lunch.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
One last one. Is it the same for new construction? Because I'm dealing with a buyer right now that's new construction. They're already built and I'm going through that process. And I'm just wondering, let's say that they don't buy till July, because that's been going on. Do I have to do the same for new construction building?
I think
Yes.
your contract with you still have to have it, but your contract with them and new construction is willing to pay you. So if that's the seller, if the seller is willing to pay you, then you go under their probably, I would think.
Yeah, because, you know, I believe that buyer broker now is going to be incorporated into your Sky Slope, where it's going to have the forms in there and everything. So I would say yes, not let somebody disagree. I would rather caution on the side of doing it. That's what I would do.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to second Nate that this is going to be helping a lot of agents, especially the ones that are just getting started. This is going to help you to be able to build confidence and already put people under contract. You know, I started with as a wholesaler, and that's all we do is just put people under contract right off the bat. So I'm old school where I'm not going to do anything unless I know you're committed. And I've taught my team that way. I've taught my wife that way. I've taught everybody. I don't want to waste my time. My time is valuable, precious, gas. I'd rather be with my kids. And if I'm not going to get paid, I'm not going to just babysit and show houses and you know, I'd rather be home hanging out with my kids. So value your time, and it's okay to ask for the contract. It's okay to just say, hey, I want to represent you and be the only agent. And I think this is going to help a lot of the agents that are newer, because they're not going to have no choice but to put people under contract versus the older agents that have been established that just go out there and haven't been able to, they just know they're going to get the business. I think this is going to help the newer agents where they're just going to start off from the bat with a new habit. So that's my 2 cents.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
Excellent point. Anybody else?
Let me just jump in here, I think, as well, just as far as open houses. And like you said, you know, it's not going to be required for Debbie that you have to sign in, have everybody come in. You're going to have agents come in, or, you know, clients come in with agents, right? But those are coming in without agents. And with the new form, you can do a single sign in. So it's not going to be that much different to say, hey, if you're signing here, but then you lock anybody coming in that's not represented to you for that specific property. So to me, that's a huge advantage if you have one available. Not that you have to, but it's just right with your signing. Do you have an agent? Yes, no. If they put no, you know, hey, then this is a part of the thing we have to sign, and this is the agreement that we have. You know, you can negotiate or whatever, but if it's just part of the signing, hey, this is what we have a requirement to come in and see the house, you can have that. I mean, you don't have to necessarily, but I would say, just like signing the contract and getting everybody used to signing the contract, it's just another tool that you can commit somebody if they're interested in that particular property. Not necessarily saying that they are, because how many people actually buy that particular property, but it's just another way to get under contract with them.
Very good, Michael. Okay, we got about 6 minutes left.
Ari's been trying to get in for a while.
Well, I want to chime in on first on what Michael and everybody talked about. The California Association of Realtors actually requires that from the first encounter with the buyer, when you do a representation, you do an agency. And that's why the RPA, as well as also the buyer broker or buyer representation form, all of them, they come with it. They're not separate. You actually have to get that signed in the same page. So the single page, it's a good thing, but literally the buyer representation, when you want to sign it, from the first time when you're representing the buyer and when you're having a conversation. Now, the fact is, like, some people would sign it, some people would not sign it, but the question is, for everybody that does listing agreement, and I know like Nate and Elgin and Michael and some of you are the legendary in this, would you go to a listing appointment, walking out and not get the listing agreement signed and think that you're working with the seller? Absolutely not. So the same mindset goes with the buyer. You're just listing buyers. And the reason that I say that with certainty, because for the 9 years I have taught buyer broker at our association, and what I learned it from is about 20 years ago from the legendary that created it was John V. Pinto from Silicon Valley. He have sold over 250 homes to the buyers, and he did a buyer appointment, he did a consultation, and he listed buyers the same way. When we had a sales meeting, we would actually see we have 150 people on the buyer side and we have 100 people on the listing side. The money is not greener on one side or the other. The only thing is, as some of you said, is about the commitment. So when you're working with a non-committed seller, that the listing is overpriced and the listing is going nowhere, you're going to hate listing properties. And when you're working with the buyer that is committed to you and says, Nate, please help me. I want you. I really want you. Elgin, help me because I know you have the experience. Michael, I know you have. I appreciate you. You want buyers that they're loyal and they're committed. But how do you get buyers that they're committed to you? When you show that you're committed to them, you are the best thing that happened to them. It's all about communication, leadership, and demanding respect, pay a good pay. And what is the good pay? Whatever you make it to be. Yesterday, I wrote an offer for a past client that was referred to me. It's in Elk Grove. I know the listing agent on a one-on-one basis. The listing is at 2%. And I asked the listing agent, said, I don't want to kind of just go this the wrong way, but is there any room because I'm retained at 3%? Can I negotiate it? She said, Arya, I love you. There is no room, and my seller is very keen on what they're going to get out and not $1 less. So I knew I'm against the wall with the seller. I don't even want to send and negotiate that because I would lose the deal. So I basically had the conversation with the buyer. Since they're selling a home, I said, you know what? I'm not adding anything. I'm working for the 2% because you're going to list the property, and that's why I gave you the discount. No, it's a give and take. But the thing is, it's up to you. But if I'm listing a property and I'm doing it at a discount, at the end of it, it's also a relationship because we all know each other. And how many times you looked at the listing and I said, I cannot believe that Arya, I was teaching buyer broker, and he has a listing at 2%. What is he thinking? And many times when you talk to him, he said, you know what? I got a listing at 4%. I just split it. But the question is that your name, your integrity, your professionalism, it shows up to every action that you do. And I think that's what I think coming July, mid-July, whenever we're going there, the listing agents, they're already going to take this bull by the horn, and they're going to be even stronger because they already know how to do the conversation. They list buyers as if they're listing sellers. And the rest of the people, if they don't adapt the buyer broker, they're going to go out of business. We call it the shoplifting prevention program. If somebody comes to your business and they don't pay and they walk out, you're going to be like anybody in Oakland, San Francisco. You have to, no choice than to close doors. So the stronger people would win. And I predict that the people that they are really good at this, they're going to even get paid 3%, 3.5%. They're going to even get paid. They can demand it, and they're rising to the top. So for somebody says, I don't know if I should do the buyer representation. My question is, you haven't done it so far. From now on, you have to do it, or you might not even get paid. Back to you, Frank.
Arya?
Thank you.
I have to
Beautiful.
tell you, Arya is a broker. He's got massive knowledge. And what I love about him, obviously you can tell his passion for real estate really comes through the Zoom call. Does anybody else have any comments before we kind of wind this down? Has this
I'll
helped?
say it was valuable. Yes, yes.
Has this
because
helped?
What I'm going to go back and do,
Awesome.
because I have to teach my team, I'm going to go back and listen to Elgin's spiel again and Michael's spiel again, and I'm writing it all down because I missed a lot of points in both of those. So I encourage you guys to take notes on things. I know you don't, it is hard to listen to a lot of talking and go back, but I missed like Mike hit like 3 points that I didn't get, and Elgin hit another 3. So when I'm trying to teach you, you're trying to be a leader, you're trying to, for yourself, you need to write down, I want to go back and hear my points that I wrote, then I want to put what Elgin said, then I want to put what Arya just said, then I want to put, so take the time to educate yourself, then you'll go in there with so much confidence. People want to work with someone who has that much confidence. And like David said, when he respects his time is valuable. And I agree with David.
Hey guys, if I may add something, this is Mireya. Hi everyone.
Hey, nice to see you.
I'm loving those meetings. Thank you for having us. I just wanted to say, I don't know any other way. My time is money, you know? And for those that are doing this part-time, I would think that your time is a lot more money too. So I cannot wrap my head around going and showing houses one after the other and the other without having some sort of commitment paper. So I don't know if that's because of the investor side with David, but you have to have your priorities. You know, your time is money. You're going to go and do all that work without asking for it, without
Right.
having it up front. I'm surprised that it's been done that way for this long, as a matter of fact. And
Elgin.
just like, you know, just like the other team member said, it's like, hey, you can actually even make more money. It's like, don't be afraid to ask for what you're putting in and work. It's just, this is your business. This is your baby. What is your baby worth? You know, it's a piece of paper committing. If they're already not wanting to commit with you, then you're wasting your time. Move on.
I love it. It is so good to
Yeah.
see your face and to hear your voice. And I look forward to you training on here, by the way. Elgin,
On vacation. She was on vacation. Remember?
I know she was. I know. Now they're broke. Now they got to make money.
That's right.
We're on
Money.
vacation. We're always on with David, you guys. There's no such thing. The vacation has to pay for itself.
Elgin, what do you got?
I just wanted to say too is that, and I'm going to speak for some people here, and that is that none of us that are on here too that like, you know, Michael knew what to say and Nate knew what to say, what I knew what to say. That not only comes from quote unquote practice and training, but it also comes from the fact that we're really involved in the business. And I would tell you guys, for me, particularly in the beginning when I started doing this, man, I would borrow money, whatever I had to do. I'm going to trainings, I'm talking to people, I'm doing stuff. There's an awful lot of trainings that we're all putting on and we're doing in this stuff. And all you got to do, guys, is get on Zooms and get on little stuff, or call one of us one-on-one, have conversations or whatever. You really should take advantage of that, because when I started, no one that was a quote unquote a top producing agent or anything like that would take any time with you. None whatsoever. You have opportunities here to speak to people that are in the trenches, that are working just like you are every day. I'm getting off here, going on to another Zoom, getting off from there, going to another presentation. I got to go meet appraisers like everybody else. I got to go through closings like everybody else. So you know what? You're like talking with foot soldiers here. You're talking with people who got boots on the ground that are actually putting in the work. But you know, but you really should take advantage of it. I mean, you should take, if you're not learning, studying your craft, you know, like any of, like an athlete does, or like a professional anything does. You know what? Game time, everybody likes game time, but how much do you have to do in practice to even get in the game and then perform in the game well? You guys don't take, please, you know, there's stuff with DXP, to those of you that with DXP that's in the cloud and all that kind of stuff. Don't, you know, take advantage of this stuff, because I had none of that. I had none of that. And if you're not taking advantage of it, and then you're not achieving the success that you want to achieve, whose fault really is that? That's all.
All right, Elgin, let me kind of wrap this up a little bit. Thank you guys so much. I'd like to recognize someone on this call that keeps Elgin in line. That's his beautiful wife, Pilar. Pilar, wave. Keeps Elgin in check. That's for sure.
Are you kidding me right now, Frank? Do you think that's even possible? Come on now.
Yeah,
I love the
do.
credit, but let's keep it.
This is being recorded. This is going to be in the Winner Circle Live. And then what I do is I go ahead and I put it on my YouTube. And for those of you who are building a YouTube channel, you can go ahead and steal the link, put it on your YouTube, your LinkedIn, and get it all out to your social media sites. Okay. Also, I want to let you know that I'm going to tease you a little bit. There's going to be an announcement coming down from EXP. It could be next week, could be within the next month, and you are going to be very, very happy you have stayed with EXP. And I'm sorry, I can't tell you now, but I'm just going to tease you. And when you hear about it, you're going to go, holy, you know what? Okay. Very, very excited, guys. Very excited. All right. We'll see you all here next week at 10. I hope everybody has a great week. And if you ever have a question, please put it in the Winner Circle and we will answer it for you if you don't want to call anybody, because I want the Winner Circle to be just for you as it is for us. I want it to be very interactive, that if you need anything at all, we are here. This is the one ecosphere that we are all sharing, and we just are here to help you guys make money. And that's what we're going to do. Okay.
Thanks, Frank.
All right, you guys have a great week. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.